there guys! If you've been subscribed to my channel for a while, then you have seen the evolution of a brand, because over the past 2 years here on YouTube, things have changed quite a lot. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you haven't been subscribed for a while, then click on my name down there so you can go check out the videos on my channel and scroll way back. Don't worry, there's not too many of them. There's kind of a lot of them, but there's only 2 years worth of videos, so you'll be able to scroll all the way back and check out what my earlier thumbnails looked like. You might not want to click on the videos though, because when I started out here, things were a little bit rough. I had no idea what I was doing, but you can at least see what the branding looked like. Also, I'm going to show you a clip of my old branding from not that long ago actually, but just before we updated my website in just a few minutes here. So before I show you that though, I want to tell you about how my branding came to be. So basically, I have no graphic design background myself, and I actually used to be really terrible at graphic design, any sort of design. I didn't know how to put outfits together, I didn't know how to decorate my house, still don't know how to do that, but I also didn't know how to design graphics on the computer or do art of any sort. And so when I started my first business about 12 years ago, I did a little bit of DIY branding. It looked pretty bad and kind of all over the place. My husband ended up helping me a little bit with the branding. He designed a really great logo for my first business, and I picked just a couple simple colors and fonts, and we got by. And if you right now are working on your branding and you're just DIYing, figuring stuff out for the first time, that would be my biggest tip for you. Pick just 1 or 2 fonts and just 1 or 2 colors and keep it super simple, because that was the thing that saved me from terrible designs, just keeping stuff super simple. Anyway, so I did that. That brand grew and evolved and became a little bit more polished over time. And then eventually, I ended up selling that business. I started this online business roughly 5 years ago, and it was a very slow start at first. I was just figuring things out, learning things, starting to work with clients slowly. And so I, again, DIY'd my branding. And this time, I think that I was trying a little harder, but that did not help. The fact that I was trying harder just meant that I made more of a mess of it. So when I started my online business, things did not look very attractive. Now, and here is another tip, the thing that saved me at the beginning of starting this business was that I have a friend who is an amazing photographer. I'll leave a link to her website down below just so you can check her work out. But she's an amazing photographer. Whenever you see nice pictures of me here on YouTube or on my Instagram, it's all due to her. And so right about the time that I was starting this online business, just about maybe 1 year in, she did a photo shoot for me, a brand photo shoot, and I basically just started putting those pictures all over. And you'll see the picture from that earliest brand shoot on a lot of my earlier YouTube thumbnails. And those pictures were really the thing that completely saved me from having a terrible looking brand, because I was able to really lead with these really good quality photos and then just add a little bit of text and colors that complemented the photos well. So it worked, and I got by on that. But since then, I've realized that I need to have a little bit more of a brand that isn't completely reliant on the photography, but actually has some unique fonts and a color palette and a nice looking logo and things like that. And so over time, I have worked on creating those things myself, and I've picked fonts and picked colors and created logos. And then, after a few months passed, I would think, I'm not quite so crazy about this logo or these colors, and I would tweak them. And I would tweak them, and I would tweak them, and I would tweak them. And so if you've been following my YouTube channel over the past years, you've probably seen a lot of those tweaks reflected in my thumbnails, and they've evolved a fair amount. However, if you've checked out my website in that time, you've probably noticed that it really hasn't changed at all in the past 3 or so years. Because like I said, I started my business about 5 years ago, but then a year or 2 in was when my friend did that photo shoot for me. So at that point, I just set up my website with those new photos. It looked pretty good, not great, but pretty good. And I'll show you exactly what it looked like in just a minute here. But even though it looked all right, my brand has just evolved a lot since then. So recently, I was really feeling like we needed to update things, and I didn't just want it to be another tweak, another iteration. I really wanted to have a polished, cohesive, professional brand. And so as I was already thinking about this, one day I got an email from 99 Designs reaching out to me and asking if I wanted to do a collaboration. And I was really interested. And the reason I was so interested was because a few years ago, as you might know, I published this book. And I actually used 99 Designs to design covers for this book, to get different ideas and to find a cover that I really liked. And I had a really good experience with them. It gave me so many ideas. It was really easy to work with. So when 99 Designs reached out to me and said that they wanted to do something with me, I was really excited because I wanted to rebrand my business, my YouTube channel, my website anyway. So I've been working with them over the past couple months to get this rebrand project done. It's been a great experience, and so I want to share with you exactly, well, everything from start to finish. What my brand looked like before, what it looks like now, how the process worked, so that if you're interested in getting something branded yourself, you kind of know how the whole process works and what to expect, and then also my thoughts on how it all went. So before we get into that whole process, let me roll the clip that I took a few weeks ago before we started the process and show you what my website has looked like for basically the last 3 years. It is March of 2019, and this is what my website currently looks like. It's really out of date because we have hardly updated it over the past 2 years or so. We've added a few new programs, and we've added new blog posts and things like that. But a lot of the copy or the text on the site really just doesn't reflect the business's current message and mission of the business. Also, our branding is really out of date. It doesn't really fit with the style that you now see in my videos. The branding has just evolved a lot over the past 2 years, and so we need to update the graphics and also the imagery on the site to match. So I'm just going to show you around the site so that you can see the before version, and then in just a few minutes here, I guess you'll see the after version, which obviously I haven't seen myself yet. Okay, so here we are on the home page, and it starts off with this picture of me and some text about who I am and what I do. That part is pretty all right, except for I really want to update this picture. But then down here is when it gets really bad. There's basically just a long blog article down here that's good content, but it's not what belongs on the homepage. We need to use the homepage to give people a tour of what's on the site and what the business offers. And also over here in the side column, right now we're promoting a free strategy session with me, which I'm not offering right now because my calendar is completely full as I want it to be with other projects. So I'm not taking on any clients. And then down here, we're promoting my book, which is fine, except it doesn't really fit with the purpose of this website, because this website is about my personal brand, which is focused on entrepreneurship and success, as you guys know, and my book isn't about those topics. So let's take a look at some of the other pages of the site. Here's the Start Here page, and there's a lot of copy here that really doesn't fit with my message anymore. My message has evolved over time, and so I need to refresh that a lot. And then down here, we're promoting these different blog articles as our flagship content for different phases of business that people are in. But honestly, these are some of the first articles that I wrote on my blog, and they're really not the best of the best anymore. So I'd much rather promote some of the content that we've made more recently that is just a lot better, a lot higher quality. And then here we are on the blog page, and the blog page will largely stay the same. We're still going to have the blog feed here. We'll just be updating it with more blog posts in the future, of course. But over here in the side column, we need to update these graphics so that they really reflect the business's current offerings. Finally, here is the tools page, and this page is great because of the content that's on it, but I really don't like the design anymore. My sense of style has just shifted a lot, and I don't like this branding anymore. So I'm really looking forward to having a professional redo our branding so that we can look as professional as I want to look. I'm also going to be updating some of these tools so that they really reflect the tools that I currently use and really love. Okay, so now that you've seen what my old but relatively recent website looked like, let me tell you a little bit about what we've been doing over the past few weeks to get this new brand designed. Now, the very first thing that we did was we had to pick a designer. So we logged on to 99designs.com and we used their designer search to look through all of the designers that work with 99 Designs to choose the one that we wanted to do the brand design for my personal brand. Now, I just said that we looked through all of the designers, but we definitely did not, because there are thousands of designers on 99 Designs, and it was actually pretty difficult to decide which designer to use because there were so many that had amazing looking portfolios. But that obviously was a good thing because that meant that there was lots of great options. So after a bit of browsing and talking things over with my team, I ended up choosing a designer, and we've been working with that designer for the past several weeks on developing the new brand. The first thing that we did with that designer was to simply talk to her about kind of my vision for the brand, the look, feel, the vibe I was going for with the new brand, some things I definitely wanted and some things that I didn't. And the one thing that I noticed about this designer from the very start was that she was a really good communicator and that she really listened to what we wanted. So that was just a really pleasant thing about this whole experience. So we told her what we were looking for, and then just a few days later she came back to us with several different options for some logo designs, because we decided that we wanted to start there with the logo. We had already given her some brand photography to kind of show her the general direction we wanted to take the brand. So we were starting with the logo because we wanted to kind of base the whole brand around that. She had some great designs of different logos, but of course I wanted to make sure that that logo was exactly how I wanted it, since I was going to base my whole brand around it. And so I really appreciated being able to use the 99 Designs annotation feature. So basically how this works is you can just click anywhere on the design to make a note about that specific part of the design. And this makes it really easy to communicate exactly what you're talking about, because if you're just writing text comments and they're not related to a specific part, then you might be trying to explain which part of the design you're talking about, and it can be difficult to communicate about visual things. But because you can tie your note to a specific part of the design, it becomes much easier to communicate, and to communicate clearly so that both people know exactly what you're talking about. Now, I'm really glad that the designer that we chose was very patient and easy to work with, because we had a lot of iterations that we went through to try to get the design exactly how we wanted. After we got the logo done, then we went through several different iterations of the color palette and of the fonts that we were picking. But ultimately, after the end of this several week-long process, we have a beautiful brand, and there are a lot of things that I really like about it. One of my favorite things that came out of this design project was the color palette itself. I don't know if you know this about me, because I don't think it's something that I really talked about on this YouTube channel, but I struggle with color, and you might not understand what that means exactly, but basically I have a hard time finding colors that look nice to me, and most colors look very clashy to me. Even colors that other people think look good together, they look to me like they clash. And so that is actually the reason why my set is so bright and mostly white, just because, yeah, I have a hard time with color. So coming up with a color palette for a brand that wasn't just white, black, and gray was very difficult for me, but I knew that I wanted to have a color palette with actual colors because I didn't want my brand to look too sterile, and I also think that it's important to have a color in your brand so that you can make things pop when you occasionally actually need to really make something stand out. So something interesting that I learned about branding during this process was that you can have brand colors, which is your brand color palette, but you also can have a photography palette that pairs with your brand palette. And I actually learned this from a great designer friend of mine. Her name is Lila Higgins, and she gave me quite the education about color palettes and how they can interact, because I was so much struggling with this color palette. And so in our new branding, we have exactly that. For the most part, the colors are quite minimal. The logo is just black and gray. The icons are just black. but we have a color palette in there that has several different colors, some blues, a pink, a gold, because those are the colors that we use in a lot of our brand photography. Another thing that I love about our new branding is the icons and specifically the buttons. I really like these really bold black and white buttons. I think that they really make a statement. They look really clean and classy, not overdone or over-designed, but just simple and professional. And finally, one more thing that I'll mention that I love about the new brand is the script font that the designer chose. It's like a handwritten script font, and it looks different to me than a lot of other script fonts that I've seen, but sometimes when I see script fonts that I haven't seen before, they look really messy. This one, it looks organic, it looks natural, but it doesn't look messy, and I really like that. So the designer did a great job with so many different aspects of this design, and overall I think that she created a really beautiful and professional looking brand. We had a great experience working with 99 Designs and the specific designer that we chose, so thank you so much to 99 Designs for helping us out with this project. Thank you to our designer. I'm gonna leave a link to her down below if you wanna check out her portfolio, if you're looking for a designer yourself. But overall, yeah, it was a great experience. 99 Designs was really easy to work with. The designer was so patient. She really took the time to do all the iterations to come up with a design that we really liked. So over the next few weeks here, you will start to see some changes on the YouTube channel as we transition to the new branding. I would love to hear your feedback as we go through the process. Let me know what you think of the new branding, if you like it, if you see some things that maybe you don't like as well as the old branding. Yeah, I would love all your feedback. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you found it interesting just to hear the behind the scenes, hear about the process, but also that you found it helpful if maybe you are thinking about hiring a designer to brand your business or rebrand your business or your YouTube channel, and that this helps you to understand kind of just what goes into that process so that you know what to expect. Well, that's all I've got for you guys today, but if you want to join me for next week's video, then make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. There's a button down below that you can click to subscribe to my channel, and if you do that, then my next video will show up in your feed on YouTube, and if you click the bell, then YouTube will actually send you a little notification if you have that turned on your phone. And that way you won't miss the next video. I make new videos every single week all about entrepreneurship, success, and personal development, and if you liked this video, then you'll probably like the videos that we have coming up. Okay, well that is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, thank you. I'm gonna stop talking now, but thank you again, and I'll see you guys next time.
You're a rebel, getting into trouble. You are kinda like a fire, like a fire, like a fire. Unpredictable, so original. You are never backing down.